All right, what's going on, winners? Hey, this is Coach JC, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Win All Day podcast show. Hey, you know what time it is. If you're a frequent listener or viewer, then it's time for the Win All Day winning confession. So before I even do that, and before I even introduce my guest, I'm going to bring him on the screen right now just because his good looks, I don't want his good looks to distract you now, so don't get distracted before I introduce him. But Craig, it is time for the Win All Day winning confession, man. We do this with every guest. We believe that if you want to be a winner and experience winning in your life, that there's power in your words. So if you want to be a winner, you got to speak life. So just repeat after me, brother. Today is my day.
Today is my day.
Nothing will get in my way.
Nothing will get in my way.
Of me being the best.
Of me being the best.
Version of me.
Version of me.
I am here on purpose.
I am here on purpose.
I have a purpose.
I have a purpose.
I am strong.
I am strong.
I am passionate.
I am passionate.
I am fearless.
I am fearless.
I choose faith.
I choose faith.
I am a winner.
I am a winner.
I will win.
I will win.
And win all day.
Win all day.
Yes, you are a winner. And I believe after this episode with my main man, Craig, you are going to increase your winning percentage. So without further ado, let's please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Craig Siegel to the podcast, Win All Day podcast show. What's up, my man?
That was the most interesting, unique, and fun introduction I've ever heard. Thank you for that, brother. Love you. Every time we get together, it's magic. I'm excited to be here. Let's have some fun. Let's get nuts.
All day, bro. I'm excited to get nuts with you. I appreciate that. And so let me give you just the informal or formal introduction, and then I'm going to have you introduce yourself. This is Craig Siegel. He is a value-based and high-energy global keynote speaker and rising thought leader. Craig was born and raised in New York. So yes, you got the Jersey boy and the New Yorker colliding on Win All Day. I don't even know if they're ready, Craig. But from a young age, just like me, bro, and this resonated with me, I know from a young age, you just knew that you were meant for more, man. And during the pandemic, you were able to be guided spiritually, and you left a very comfortable job on Wall Street to go all in on your passion and your purpose to help people upgrade their mindsets and their full potential. And that's what we're going to talk about today, winning. And this led to a community, the CLS community, the podcast. We have a book about to be released. Man, I'm super excited. This is the man, my man, the New Yorker, Craig Siegel. What is up?
My goodness, brother. Just love it. The energy is unparalleled. I'm excited to be here. You nailed it with the intro. Let's inspire some people today. Let's showcase what's possible once you lean in, and let's think a little bigger.
I love it, bro. And I just want to let the audience know. And here's what my viewers and my listeners know, man. I'm super particular about who I have on the Win All Day podcast show, who we introduce to our tribe that we've taken the time to build and our followers. And you were referred by a good friend, John Gordon, right? And John Gordon, after our podcast, said, man, yo, your energy, JC, you got to connect with this guy I met, Craig. And he connected us. We sent a text, and you and me jumped on a quick call. And I've watched you, and I just want to say this before I even, give you some time here. I've watched you. I'm a big observer of people, and I'm very strategic, again, who I have on the show. But I want to just say two things. Number one, I watched your consistency to serve people. And I'm not just talking about your people, your customers, your paying clients. I'm talking about I watched you serve people consistently, probably for the last year on social media. And here's why I wanted to have you on the show more than anything. Not only your consistency to serve people, but your heart. There's a lot of people in this space, bro. They fake it. You don't even know if they're real. I've watched you, bro, and you stayed consistent and steadfast. And I honestly believe your greatest days are ahead of, bro. You have not even tapped in, Craig, to your full potential. God has a huge calling on your life. But I had you on the show because your heart to serve people. I want to help you get your message to the world. So thank you to John Gordon, our good friend. And I just want to give you this time, brother. And I want you to introduce yourself to our audience. How did we get to where we are today? You have such a powerful story. Man, the floor is yours. Take it away, brother.
I love this. Yes. And so much alignment. And it's so fitting that John introduced us. He actually did the forward to our book, The Reinvention Formula, coming out. And I'm just so excited about that. And he said the same thing to me, just in regards to energy and alignment, so forth. And word that you mentioned there, which I take great pride in, and it's one of my superpowers, is the word consistency. And the irony is consistency is available to everybody. And yet very few people tap in. Isn't that so interesting? Like all you have to do is show up. And I like to say in life, you don't get what you want, you get what you're committed to. And if you're committed to showing up and being consistent, great things will happen, period, end of story. In regards to where I came from.
Hey, Craig, before you talk about you, man, can you introduce the Win All Day tribe to whiskey, man? We got whiskey in the house, baby.
Whiskey, do you want to say hi? So Whiskey is our brand new puppy. He's a baby. He's like my son. He's not a
Yeah.
dog. And it just so happens that maybe once a day he has these things that they call the zoomies where he goes absolutely crazy. And it
Yeah.
happens to be happening right now, of course, during this podcast, but it's real raw and organic.
I love it, bro. We got Whiskey, man. Look at this cute pup, man.
Yeah, he won't. So this is what he's doing right now. He barks at me, and then I go to pick him up, and then he runs away. So
Yeah.
that's the he's Wiz, come here.
Well, if he makes an appearance, man, we're all ready. We're all ready.
100%. Yes, yes,
All day,
100%.
bro. I didn't mean to
No, I'm glad that you established it because the audience is going to hear him anyway. But hell yeah. So I think my story is going to help a lot of people, and here's why. Because prior to the pandemic, I had spent 13 years on Wall Street, and I was making money, and I attribute that to be success at that season of life. And just to be clear for your listeners, making money is absolutely a part of success, but it's a part. It's not the whole thing. And so I found myself in a really dark season a couple of years back. Wall Street was a lot of fun until it wasn't. And 3 years ago, right before the pandemic, a couple of things happened at once. I just got out of a toxic relationship. My best friend, my pops, my dad, who'd always been healthy, had gotten diagnosed with cancer. He's still battling. And even though I had my own business and I was making money, I wasn't exactly putting a dent in the universe, brother. You talk about serving, I wasn't exactly doing that. And I was the type of cat, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, unfortunately, but that's why we're here to show up today, is that on Mondays, I was looking forward to the weekend. And during this season, I think I was looking to escape. So I started drinking more than I'd like to admit. I didn't stay there long, but ultimately, I was looking for a purpose at that season. And then I believe in divine intervention. I know you do too. I believe running found me, not the other way around. I'd never been a runner. I was always a weightlifter and so forth. And all of a sudden, I stumbled upon the beautiful, pure sport that is running. And I started running a bunch of marathons. And this was so good for me during this season because it provided me a purpose when I desperately needed it. And so I started running these marathons and I started to get confidence. I started to showcase to myself that I could do some hard things. But ultimately, although that worked, I was still at my job, even though I was the owner and so forth. And then fast forward the pandemic, bang, talk about a global awakening. For me personally, I looked at this as an historic opportunity to just reassess. If not now, then when?
Yeah.
And I made myself available. And it was like, let me block out the noise for a second for the first time in my life, the interference, and just get clear and just find out why I'm here, my purpose, as you attest to in your beautiful introduction. And just like that, I heard the whispers, and it occurred to me that personal development is much more than a passion to me. This is my assignment. This is why I'm here. Literally the next day on a run in Central Park, it came to me, hit me like a ton of bricks. My CLS brand. I'm going to create a 10-lane highway. I don't want to be the next Tony Robbins or John Gordon. I want to be the first Craig Siegel, but I want to be very intentional, methodical. So I created this vision for myself. There's a big difference between a dream and a vision. Everybody's got dreams. A vision is more intentional. And I looked at this like a 10-lane highway, coaching, speaking, podcast, book deal, community, all that. And then I reverse engineer. I'm like, all right, how do we establish this? We build a personal brand, CLS. And then right before I was about to lean in, I had what has become trendy. People like to call it imposter syndrome. Personally, I don't like that word syndrome. I don't want to give it power. But I did have a moment of, this isn't exactly something I can tie experience to cultivate confidence. I had 300 Instagram followers at the time, friends and family, which you can argue is less than zero. And then ultimately, I just realized that in order for me to get nuts and go into this, I needed to lean into uncomfortable action, put myself out there, and so forth. And so I did. Whiskey, calm down. I'm telling you, he's going absolutely nuts right now. Whiskey.
He's good, man.
Whiskey, come here.
As long as he doesn't tear your
my bad for the audience. Whiskey, come here. Of all the days. So it occurred to me at that moment that although this was new to me, I didn't have experience to lean into this. The COI, as I call it, the cost of inaction was way too high. Whiskey, come here.
See, if we didn't introduce Whiskey in the beginning,
this would have sounded weird.
People would have thought you were crazy, bro. Who's this cat yelling at?
My goodness, I know he heard something. I'm gonna grab him. Give me 1 second.
Of course, bro. Hey, if you're listening right now, you're listening to the Win All Day podcast show with Coach JC and my man Craig Siegel. We're going to talk about the reinvention formula, his book coming out. We're talking about his community CLS. We're talking about a guy that was comfortable in Wall Street and left everything to go all in on people. There's Whiskey. Come on, Whiskey.
Say hello. Since we
All
stole
day.
the show and you insist on being the main character in this podcast, now say what up to Coach JC and his audience. All right.
I love it, bro.
So we're talking about, this is something that I know everybody can relate to. You want to do something big. It feels powerful. And then you start to doubt yourself. Can I really do this?
Yeah.
Do I have it in me? What are people going to think? And it was at that moment that I established what I call the COI, as I was saying. The cost of inaction to me, brother, was significantly higher of a price than leaning in to the unknown. And I made it very real for myself. I associated death with choosing to go back after lockdown and be miserable. Now that that was off the table, stepping into the unknown transformed from scary to exciting.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going back. We call that burning the ships. And I want to be very responsible for your listeners. I know not everybody's in the same position. Some people have different responsibilities, whether it be kids or you have to put food on the table, whatever the case may be. But you could obviously always create time to figure out a side hustle and so forth. For me personally, I'm very an all-in type of cat, and I needed to energetically be all in. And so I burned the ships and I started my CLS brand. And while a lot of people are watching that Tiger show on Netflix in the beginning of the pandemic and drinking a bottle of wine a day, which I thought was dangerous, I got to work. And see, here's the thing. I used to hear this quote, brother, if you find what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I remixed it a bit. And I think this is much more in alignment, and I know you'll agree. When you find what you love, it'll never feel like you're working, because make no mistake about it, you and I are putting in the reps, are we not? Each and every single day. But it doesn't feel like work because we're so lit up. Yep. And so I leaned in the universe like that. And over the last 2.5 years, the brand exploded. One of the top entrepreneurial podcasts on the planet, sponsored by Mark Cuban, speaking all over the world, the record book deal, the community coaching, all the things. Sold the business on Wall Street. This is it for me in some capacity for the rest of my life. We're just getting warmed up. Wasn't only the career reinvention, got engaged, the puppy, as you guys already met, the whole 9 yards. So that's how you and I got to where we are today, brother.
I love it, bro. I love it, man. There's so much more to the story, obviously, but I congrats on the engagement. Congrats on the puppy. Congrats on taking the leap. I mean, think about this for a second, Craig. How many people, right, are listening right now that they can relate to the part of your story where you say, man, I knew there was something more. I knew I was called for more. I'm not passionate about what I'm doing. I know this season of life is over, but they never take the step. They stay stuck. And so I want you to talk to the person that might be there. They're working a job. They're doing the same old thing. Maybe they're making the money. Maybe life's good. It's comfortable. But deep down inside, like you, they know they were called for more. What would you tell that person to take the step? I like what you said about, hey, it's the cost of inaction, right? Can they associate enough pain, right, to take the step? What would you say to that person that's listening right now, man?
It's so interesting, brother, because every speaking engagement, I typically start out with saying, let's be interactive today. Who here in the audience believes that they're here for something more or bigger than they're currently settling for? Yeah. And typically, 99 of 100 people will raise their hand, right? Because we all know we could play a little bigger. Some people are leaning in and some not at all. Yeah. And so for anybody listening today that knows deep down in their soul, there's a tug at your heart that you're here for more, I challenge you to consider what happens if you do not take any inspired action. What happens if you wake up 5 months, let alone 5 years from now, in the exact same position? What is that to you? And if somebody asked me that 3 years ago, I asked myself, the answer was death. I wasn't even alive. I was starring in a movie called Existing. And I know you're a man of faith, so I know you might respect this. Actually, I know you will. For me, I felt like I was disrespecting my creator because I was underachieving and not utilizing any of my God-given gifts. And these aren't my gifts. They were given to me. It's on me to identify them and showcase them. And so I made it so real for myself. And so I'm not going to put that specifically on somebody, but I will say this, literally ask yourself, what is the cost of inaction? And I'll take it one step further. Let's just say some of you have kids or there's someone else out there that looks up to you. Obviously, you want to tell your kids, I imagine, I'm not a parent yet. I can't wait to be, God willing, in the near future. But I imagine you want your kid to grow up thinking that they could do anything or be anything they want to be in this world. Well, why aren't you, Dad? Or why aren't you going for it, Mom? So if nothing else, do it to set an example of what's possible for your kids.
Love it, bro. I love it. And you know, for me, man, I had hit rock bottom, Craig. Man, I went from New Jersey to Tulsa, Oklahoma to play basketball. Got a young girl on campus pregnant. Make a long story short, the listeners and viewers know my story, so I'm not going to get into it. But at that time, I threw away my entire identity. It's what I knew was basketball. Division I, super excited, rescued my mom and my sister from the poverty-stricken life. And so I say that because I say this. So many people are led by feelings and emotions. You just said create that cost of inaction. I hit rock bottom where all there was up. I was laying my head in a 600 square foot apartment, face down on carpet, praying every night that I wouldn't wake up. And so for me, it took that. And I think so many people get too comfortable. You said comfortability. I think when you get comfortable, you get complacent and it steals your calling. And so I want you to, let's talk about this for a second. I feel like there's people listening right now that they've been so conditioned and so used to and habitual in making decisions based off of feelings, right? I believe real strength comes from doing the things that you thought you couldn't do. And so I'm talking to the listener or the viewer right now, and you tuned in today for a purpose. And me and Craig want you to hear us. Get out of your own way. You will be tomorrow what you do today. And if you constantly and you continually just make decisions based off of feelings and based off of emotions, you're going to continue to be exactly where you are. I'm just talking to listener, Craig. I believe the time is now. The place is here. And I believe there's people that tuned in, Craig, just to hear your testimony so they could take the leap and take the next step that's been blocking them from their purpose, from their calling. And I believe this, when you get into motion, your emotions will follow, right? If we constantly make decisions based off how I feel and my emotions, man, we're always going to, I'm scared. And what fear of the unknown? What if only? I'm leaving Wall Street, a great job, stability, to take a risk. To most people would say you're crazy, but your actions over time eventually will create your emotions. And so just move, take the first step. It's the first step that stops most people. And I see so many people that never walk out their calling and their purpose because of one word, and it's the fear. So what would you say about that, Craig?
I would say 3 words, brother. Clarity follows action. You got to get in the damn arena. And then things begin to evolve. Things begin to happen for you. You meet the right person because you went to an event or you put yourself out there. You helped somebody. They reached out to you and said, hey, can I work with you? You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to get going. And the best time to get going is right after this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many of the greatest developments that have happened for me over the last couple of years with CLS. I just put myself out there. And then even like our last live event was a massive success in New York City. And I announced that we'd have 2 special guest speakers alongside me. And I put it out there. People started signing up. I didn't have the speakers yet, brother, straight up. But I launched it. And then a lot of our mutual friends in the space hit me up right away and said, Craig, I saw you launching an event. How can I contribute? How can I support? And then day 1, we had the speakers lined up. Why? Because clarity follows action. You got to let go of 2 things, the need to be perfect and waiting for the right time. It doesn't exist. You just got to get going, and then things begin to evolve. So for anyone listening right now that's like, whoa, look what you did. I didn't have all the answers, but I got to work. I was trying new stuff. And likely, if you do the damn thing and it's not the thing, it's going to be the thing that leads to the thing. But you'll never know unless you're the gladiator inside the arena.
Huge, bro. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, if you're listening right now, what just came to me when Craig was talking is just 2 statements that I would love for you to get on repeat right now. Why not me? Why not me? Why not now? Why not me? Why not now? Don't listen to this podcast. Don't watch and say, well, that's great for Craig. That's great for Coach JC. Take ownership. I believe all things are possible to those who believe. I believe the greatest belief you can have is a belief in God, the creator. I believe the second greatest belief you can ever have is a belief in you. And today, I hope that you are feeling my belief and Craig's belief and let it transfer you to right now. Why not me? Why not now? Why not me? Not me, you. I'm talking to you, listener, watching. Why not me? Why not now? The dream, the goal, the vision, man, get it into motion. Craig, I want you to talk about, man, we're big on energy, man. And I believe a lot of my energy comes from my purpose, right? People ask me all the time, if I see somebody with no energy and no passion, it tells me they lack purpose. When you have purpose, man, you're going to bring passion to the game, right? And so let's talk about your purpose, man. When did you really know this is it? This is what I was called to do. This is my purpose. And how does that purpose drive your energy and your passion to do the things you don't always feel like, right? You said it earlier, right? I'm passionate about something, right? And I still got to do the work. It doesn't mean everything I'm passionate about, but I'm doing what I need to do so that I could drive the mission forward. So let's talk about that for a second. When did you discover your purpose and know this is it? This is what I'm called to do. And how does your purpose drive your energy on a daily basis?
I get asked once a day, Craig, what are you on? And
Me too, bro. Me too.
I know you do, brother. I see you and I feel you straight up. And I spent 35 years out of alignment and I finally got into alignment. I'm high on life. I love this stuff. You couldn't pay me $1 billion to be anywhere else because this is what I wanted to be doing. And ironically, I'm making more money now than I ever made on Wall Street. Why? Because an energetic exchange. It's a byproduct of adding value, being super passionate. And as I like to say, for everyone that's like, how did you do this in such a short amount of time? And I believe this with every ounce of me. It doesn't take time. It just takes alignment. Okay, great, Craig. But how do you get into alignment? So for me, the moment was in the beginning of the pandemic. When I got quiet, I made 2 lists. One was of the things that I'm passionate about, that I actually like. And for anyone out there that's listening right now, make a list of 10 things that you absolutely love. I don't care what it is. If it's looking at insects, collecting stickers, 10 things that you're passionate about. On the second side of the page, make a second list of 10 things that you're good at, 10 skill sets, 10 superpowers. Somewhere in the middle, there's going to be some commonalities. This is a very tangible 7-figure exercise that anybody can apply.
Yeah.
And for me, the happy medium was I'm passionate about personal development and my skill set is I can communicate pretty effectively. I married those two. CLS was born. I also had that moment where I got really quiet, where it felt really called to do this. Like there's nothing else in the world that I'm supposed to be doing. And everything that I've been through, because I had my rock bottom moment myself right before this, was a part of the journey so that I can speak with credibility on what it looks like to chase your dreams and reinvent yourself. So it's when I got quiet and I began to cultivate clarity by marrying my passions with my skill sets.
Bro, it's huge, man. It's huge. I've done that exercise. And for me, one of the things that I'll add to what you just said is, I looked back too, and I took the passion, I took the skill sets, and then I also took what I've been through, right? And I said, okay, man, how did I get through that? How did I get through $400,000 in debt, a custody battle, suicidal, creating a new idea? What did I do? And I looked, and there was 2 common denominators. It was obviously, it was God, and it was my faith, and it was personal development. It was Tony Robbins. It was all the things I did. And then I looked and I said, whoa, I love those things. I'm passionate about them. That's what I did. So what if I just showed people what I did to overcome and it worked, right? And so listen, there's people listening right now and I'm telling you this, right? Because if you listen to a winning word, like Craig just said, and you do nothing with it, it will not change your life. But if you just do that simple exercise and that's all you take away from this podcast, it's going to give you clarity. How many people never wrote, here's what I'm passionate about, here's my dreams, here's what I love, and here's what I'm good at, here's my skill sets. So I love that exercise. Thanks for sharing that, man. Talk about this, man. You mentioned CLS, the community, multiple times. Give the audience, man, an insight and a look into what is CLS, what's the vision, the goal of it, why does it exist, and what does it do? Maybe it's a great fit for people listening. Let us in on what CLS is, brother.
I love it, brother. And I just want to touch upon something you said earlier in regards to every day. It's standards over feelings, right? It's, if you set your alarm tonight to wake up early tomorrow, you did that for a reason with an intention. So tomorrow, when your alarm clock goes off, instead of hitting snooze, remember why you set it in the first place. You revert back to your standard like a professional, as opposed to the way you feel about being tired when you set your alarm like an amateur. And that's something tangible as well. And I love that you touch upon that. In regards to CLS community, when I was going to build my personal brand, because like I said, I had no celebrity friends, no connections, no network. I had success on Wall Street and running marathons, but this is a whole different arena, as you know. But, and this is really good nugget for your listeners, if you've been successful at something in your life, which I know everybody has, it wasn't the thing that made you successful. It was you. And I'm talking to you, the listener. And those characteristics that made you successful are transferable.
Come on.
And so for me, I started building a personal brand and putting myself out there. And one of the most important things to build a personal brand, and people say they've never seen anyone do it as fast as we have, and I'm very humbled by that. I put a real emphasis on community. In other words, building a network of like-minded individuals. And just to be clear, there's a big difference between an audience and a community. A lot of people have fake audiences and followers. It's all great. But a community is an active group that's engaging, they're loyal, they're interactive, they're connecting with each other. Yeah. And we built something really special with that. And everybody wants each other to win. And so we do many things like masterminds, one-on-one coaching. But one thing that sticks out is we have a CLS membership, which is like our signature program. It's very affordable compared to everything else that we do. And it's a monthly subscription. And we meet once a week on Wednesdays. And there's 500 people in there. And everybody is networking, supporting each other, doing business with each other. I obviously drop nuggets on strategies, tactics, branding, entrepreneurship, mindset. We bring huge guest speakers in. And for anyone listening right now, whether it's me, Coach JC, or anybody, find your tribe. You were not supposed to do this alone. The biggest cheat code that I had when I started this was getting in the rooms of people that weren't necessarily better than me, but were a little bit further ahead. And in order to do that, I had to put my ego aside and realize I don't know what I don't know. And just being around people that are a little bit further ahead, you start to think bigger. You start to get clarity. You get strategies. Take what you like, leave the rest. It's a cheat code to success. So join a community and find your tribe.
Bro, that's huge, man. That's huge. And, you know, before we move on, because I want to talk about the reinvention formula, your book, I don't want to miss what you said earlier, because I think it's very important. We talk about a standard. You know, one of the things that I was very consumed with, Craig, in the beginning is I had this comparison syndrome. I always was comparing myself to everybody, right? I always thought I could have done better. Why can't I get to their level? I should be further ahead. And it caused me so much anxiety and pressure and so much, guilt and shame. I always thought, man, I should be further ahead. I should be further ahead. And then I started to realize a lot of stuff you see and people are doing, they're really not doing. And I remember when I just started to look in the mirror and make my standard competing against myself. And so if you're listening today, don't get discouraged by myself and Craig and maybe where Craig's at. Let it motivate you. Let it inspire you. Know this, that God's no respecter of person. I believe there's somebody listening that could build a community faster than Craig did right now. 100%. But you got to want it. And you got to set the standard. And you said something so powerful. I'm not competing against a scoreboard. I'm competing on my standard. Look inside for the answers. So many times we're looking external and we want JC to solve our problems. We want Craig to solve. Compete to the standard you set for yourself. It's you versus you. Go for the progression every day. Can I move the ball? Can I stack wins? Can I be better today than I was yesterday? Can I be better tomorrow than I was today? And when you can get to that place where you're just blinders are on and I'm just competing me against me, and every decision I make is based off of vision. It's based off of mission. It's based off of principles. Man, you can move so much faster and get so further ahead. I just want to say that. I feel there's people that can listen and say, oh, man, I'm comparing myself to Craig now. I can never do that. I'm comparing myself to JC. I can never do that. It's you versus you. Stop looking external. The standard's you versus you. You're the only competition is the person looking at you in the mirror. Craig, before we move on, anything you want to say about that, my man?
Where do I begin? That's exactly why I fell in love with the sport of running, because I'm not competing against anybody else. It's just me, God, and the pavement, right? And I know a lot of people get tripped up with comparison syndrome, especially in 2023 when social media is a frenzy and there's so much stuff out there. And most of the time it's just people's highlight reels, never showcasing the actual reality and vulnerability. And I get that. And so I actually wrote a whole chapter about this in the book. It's funny that you're asking. And what I want to shift paradigms right now is next time you see somebody winning that maybe you don't even like, whatever the case may be, but they seem like they're a little bit further ahead. If you're not clapping, you're missing the point. And here's why.
Come on.
They're showcasing what's possible, right? So if you're listening to this episode and you're like, whoa, Craig built his brand like that. As Coach said, if I can do it, you can do it even faster. So if there's anybody else out there that's winning, you're not competing against them. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 17. They're just showcasing what's possible, right? And then ultimately, if you're like, oh, that's a saturated market, saturation shows that there's a market for something. And like I always like to say, there's always room for the best. So if you see other people thriving, just say to yourself, wow, competition breeds success. If they're doing it, it's only a matter of time before I do it.
Yeah, man, I love that word. And I'll add to this, man. One of the things I'm really big on, Craig, people know me, man. I'm not a blamer. I'm not a complainer. I don't gossip. I don't talk about people. And if people get around me and they're not rooting for other people to win, it just can't be in my circle. I'm telling you, one of the quickest ways for you to lose. And again, you said it. It's irrelevant of if you like them, if you believe in everything they're doing. I believe the quickest way for you to lose is root against somebody else. I don't care if it's in politics. I don't care if it's in business. But if you catch yourself, right, seeing somebody else win and you can't cheer them on, root for them, you have no chance of winning. That's something you got to deal with immediately. If you want to be a winner, winners root for other winners. Winners root for people to win. So great word. I'm glad you said that, man. I don't want to move on to the book just yet. I want to stay on personal development for a second because we're talking about standard, competing against yourself. Let's stay there for a second, right? I ask people these two questions when I first start coaching them is, I want to see where they're at. Tell me about your everyday morning routine. Tell me about your everyday morning routine. Not when you feel like it. I can tell right off, right from the beginning, if this person's going to win by their everyday. If they're just like, I get up when I want, I don't like, so I want you to talk a little about when you went all in on you and you started running and you're leaving Wall Street and personal development was a big thing you loved. What are some of the things that you went all into train physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, your relationships? And maybe it's some of the things you even do today that are routines, that are habits that help build Craig, that keep Craig strong. What are some of the things that you can motivate, inspire people by your routines that you are very consistent? You talked about consistency earlier, that you're committed to and consistent on a daily basis that make you the winner you are, Craig.
That's it. And I'm a big believer in having non-negotiables, right? And do a thing, do it well. In every single day, I wake up before the world, or for the most part, and I have a routine. I'm very structured, very organized. And essentially that part of my routine is predictable. I wake up, I pray, I do a gratitude, and then I create my to conquer list for the day, or all the things that are on the agenda. And now the list is very extensive because we have so much going on. Then I work out 7 days a week. When I was a kid, it was a little bit more unenlightened. It was to look good naked. Obviously, it's still nice to look good, but for me, it's because we talk about physical fitness. That's my mental fitness, bro. That's when I do my best connecting, like straight up, me and God. Like I don't really meditate, so to speak. For me, running is a moving meditation. And I do this all early in the morning, and then I attack my day. And I feel like I've already accomplished and conquered so much. I worked out, I prayed, I did my gratitude, I did my to-do list. I'm consuming some personal development in some capacity, and then bang, I already have momentum. Momentum is the hardest thing to get and the easiest things to lose. But once you cultivate it, the wind's at your back, you're on fire. And it's interesting. I noticed just last week that because I'm going 100 miles an hour right now with the business, so forth, and my fiance, my fitness routine, although I'm still consistent, it's become a little bit complacent. And I acknowledge that. So what did I do? Signed up for the New York City Marathon. First time ever publicly saying that in November. Now, that might be a bit extreme for some of the listeners. For me personally, the reason why I did that is because now that thing's in the calendar, now we got to reverse engineer it. What kind of cat do I have to become to go conquer 26.2 miles? Well, I need to go to bed a little bit earlier, wake up a little bit earlier, work on my nutrition, stay mentally fit, stay on fire. It causes me to level up. That's how I exercise even more accountability. And then right away this week, I put together a whole training plan, put myself in a little training camp, waking up a little bit earlier, attacking the day, running a little longer, and I understand where I'm heading. So that's what worked for me when I found myself in a little bit of a rut in terms of physicality and fitness. So right away, I became aware and I put something in the calendar that scares me, that's audacious, because now I know who I have to become to conquer that. So I suggest anybody out there that's listening, doesn't have to be a marathon, but put something in the calendar that scares you, but simultaneously causes you to level up. Long-winded answer. Each and every single day, I have my non-negotiable, so I attack so much before most of the world even wakes up.
Huge, bro. It's crazy. We're so much in alignment in what we're doing, and people that are listening that know the Win All Day. I created an app of the things I did, Craig, and I tell everybody, I'm just like, just do these 5 things over and over every day, and you'll win. But it's crazy because the app keeps score, right? And we talk about consistency. We look at the score, and you see people that are so inconsistent. And they look at me and I say, I've been doing this 12 years, the same exact morning routine. It doesn't matter if I'm on vacation, the same exact evening routine. I stack wins in these 5 areas every single day. And I see the inconsistency. It's just 10 points a day that you can get. And I see sometimes people have 3 points, then they have 7, then they have 3, then they have 7, right? You'll never win that way. So I love that you said that, man. I love the fact, put something that is scheduled on the calendar, right? A competition, a marathon, whatever it is. And then I love to add this, go share it with somebody that knows you close enough that's not going to tell you what you want to hear. So now that it's out there, Craig has people in his life, his fiance, whoever, say, whoa, you already said you're doing that. You're a man of your word. You're committed. You have no out. You have no out unless you're in the hospital. You're running that marathon, because that's when you have people in your life that love you enough to not tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Do you have those people in your life, Craig?
First of all, I love you. So there's that. This with so much alignment here, brother. I made a big emphasis when I leaned into CLS because I've been a bit of a recovering people pleaser, if I'm being honest. And I wanted to surround myself with today people. And me and you talked for a while before we hit record. And I was kind of telling you, pulling back the curtain on how we're growing rapidly and we're hiring and we're scaling. And one of the things that I look for at this season of my life is to surround myself with people that will not co-sign my BS. I want people that will call me out if need be. That'll say, you're not looking at it this from the right path, or check out this, or I see what you're doing with this might be able to help. So yes, 100%. The truth of the matter is I have to give myself a little bit of credit. I hold myself to the highest standard possible. So as a result, I'm always striving to be the best me each and every single day. So it's very unlikely that someone's going to be calling me out on my BS, because as a leader, I have the mentality, brother, that the camera's always on. In other words, even when no one's looking, I'm not on a Zoom, I'm not on a stage, or I'm not filming a podcast, I'm practicing what I preach. I'm getting up early, I'm doing the work, I'm sharpening the axe, I'm doing the damn things. But if I ever slip up, you know who the best person to call me out is? My fiance. She's from Ukraine. She's been here since she was 14, so she's basically American, but she has that immigrant mentality, and she's a bit savage, if I'm being honest. And it's like the perfect yin to my yang. So she would be the first person to call me out. So yes, I think everybody should surround yourself with people that can elevate you by calling you out on stuff that you might not be doing, or if you're underachieving. And then obviously accountability is huge. I love that you said that. Just telling someone like I just did just now to you and your listeners that I'm signed up for the New York City Marathon. I mean, you could let yourself down behind closed doors, but I can't let you down, brother.
Yeah, it's huge, man. And my wife's a savage, so I get that, bro. My wife, in the beginning when we first together, I'd get hurt because I'm from Jersey, she's from Oklahoma, but people think she's the Jersey girl. She's just direct. She says it as it is. And I'd be like, man, why'd you say it like that? She's like, you need to hear it. And it made me such a better man. So I love that. Man, let's get into the reinvention formula. This is your first book, correct?
Correct.
Congratulations. And so when's the official release date?
August 15th.
Love it. The reinvention formula, how to unlock a bulletproof mindset to upgrade your life.
That's it. You nailed it.
Give us an overview, man. Why the reinvention formula, and what's this upgrade you're talking about?
Yeah. So one thing that we can all agree on is that we're all here for something much bigger than we're currently doing. A lot of us, hopefully in our circles, are striving for that, but I know there's a lot of people not. And I know that because I have contrast, because up until 3 years ago, I was that cat for 35 years. And then I realized that I had a choice. I can invest in a different story. I can invest in a different movie. I could change the plot. And just like that, whether you liked me or not, hard to believe anyone would dislike me, I know. One thing that you couldn't deny is I totally reinvented myself and pivoted extremely successful. If I could do it, everybody else could do it. But how? How do I remove limitations? How do I think bigger? How do I get clarity? Here's the thing. CLS was not an overnight success. I had been doing my personal development and sharpening the axe for 15 years, studying historic figures, a deep dive on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, Kabbalah, law of attraction, emotional intelligence. I used that to be successful in other endeavors, such as Wall Street or running marathons. I didn't realize it would be my career, but then I put it all together and I have all my studies, because I've been journaling 50 years, documenting it, into one vessel called the Reinvention Formula. I'm a nerd when it comes to books like this and stuff, and I've read most of them in the space. I can honestly say that this thing is refreshing. It's a hybrid. It's different than anything that I personally have seen. Yes, it talks about my journey and my story, but most importantly, I extract the lessons from the setbacks, from the debt, from the rock bottoms, how to bounce back, how to pivot successfully. This book is not niche. It's not for just entrepreneurs or single moms or whatever. It's for anybody that would like to get better and play a little bit bigger in this life, and how to pivot successfully. So as you can tell, I'm really excited about it. It's everything I know to be true up until now. I don't know if there'll be another book. This is what I wanted to do now. This is what I felt called to do. And here it is.
I love it, bro. I'm super excited for you. And the official release date's when?
August 15th, baby.
Okay. Can they pre-order now?
Yes. So we have a launch team too. If you pre-order it now, by the time this episode drops, go to the reinventionformula.com. You can snatch your copy anywhere, Barnes & Nobles, Amazon. Make sure you grab your confirmation number, go back to the reinventionformula.com, input it with your name. You'll get added to the launch team. We're reading the book before it ever drops, before the world has access. And obviously, it's no secret for any of my authors out there, and I'm learning this for the first time, but pre-orders are very good for the author. Why? Because it generates a buzz, it creates that Hollywood hype, and it kind of creates that excitement. So whether you buy the book or not, I would love that if you did, but I'm telling you right now, energetically, just being close to this book physically, it's going to transfer some energy. I know what it feels like to underachieve, and I know what it feels like to get in alignment. And isn't that what we all really crave, is to have purpose, to be in alignment, to go for it all, the career to die for, the relationships, the money, all of that. So if this feels like it's in alignment for you, I'd love for you to get involved.
TheReinventionFormula.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. Here's what we're going to do at Win All Day, Craig. We're going to pick up 7 copies of the book, and we're going to bless the audience. If you're listening right now, I want you to go get the book. But if you're listening as well and you message me on Instagram your biggest takeaways of this episode, okay, your biggest takeaways of this episode, and don't send me like one word. I want you to, you really thought it out. I'm going to send you Craig's book when it releases, and I'm going to send you one of my books. I'm going to do that for 7 people. Listen to this episode to bless you. If you need to reinvent yourself, drop me your biggest takeaways from this episode, and we're going to invest in Craig and his launch. We're going to buy 7 of these. That just came to me to do. And I want to say this right now. I don't know when you were talking, this word just came to me for somebody. And Craig, I'm just a led individual. So when something comes to me, I just obey and I say it. And the words that come to me right now is, just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So if you're listening or you're watching right now, I hope you're inspired by Craig's story. I hope you're motivated. I hope you're encouraged. But whatever you're believing for in your life, I feel like there's people that are believing for something and they've hit plateaus. They had dreams, they had goals, but it didn't work out how you thought it should have. Just because you haven't seen it yet in the natural doesn't mean it's not going to happen. You tuned in today just to hear this message. Do not stop believing. Do not stop doing. Just because you haven't seen it yet in the natural does not mean it's going to happen. You're a winner. I believe that after listening to this episode, that everything attached to you is going to be winning. This is your winning season. Start to see beyond what you could see in the natural, and go get Craig's book. Craig, is there anything we didn't talk about today that you would like to say to the audience? Obviously, we could talk all day, my man. New Yorker, Jersey guy. We could talk so much about personal development, life, probably the best food and good food we could talk about all day as well. And if you heard my man Craig say cat many times, you know, if you're not from the East Coast, that's what we call guys. Like, hey, so I just want to preface that. I love that you said that. So is there anything that you want to talk about, anything you want to say that we didn't touch on today, man? I always like to give our guests that opportunity, my man.
I just want to speak from the heart for a second, and it's
Please.
Not different than anything we spoke about. It's kind of just add on to what you were just saying. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are struggling or can't seem to find out what their thing is. It took me 35 years. I want you to know sincerely, it is never too late. You're never too old First, you got to become available by blocking out the limitations and being ready to buy in to what that is, to receive those creative divine downloads. And then obviously the strategy and execution to bring it to life. But it does not matter what you've been through. Forgive yourself for not being where you would hoped you'd been at this point. All that matters in the entire world is what you do next. Why not you?
Come on, baby. I love it. I love it. I love it. We talked about the book. We talked about the community, CLS, the coaching. Where can they go to find out more about you? Obviously, Instagram, website. Just throw those things out, man. What are they, brother? How can they connect with you on a deeper level?
Anywhere on social at Craig Siegel _CLS. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, the CLS Experience. Our website, cultivatelastingsymphony.com. Obviously, anywhere you buy books, Reinvention Formula. And if you like inspirational nuggets, free text messages throughout the week, you can join our texting community totally free. Just text 917-634-3796 and text the word Coach JC. So I know that you heard it here.
All day, baby, all day. And you mentioned a podcast. We didn't even talk about that, man. How many episodes are you on real quick? I mean, you've had guests. You've had some of our best friends and guests on there, big names. It's been awesome. I know it's been a huge blessing to you. And your brand. How many episodes you got now? Do you know?
To be honest with you, I think about 180.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, I could confirm, but it's all about the quality, right? And I take pride in being able to get some really big guests that don't typically do shows and so forth. And it's just so much fun. The same way that you and I are exchanging right now and collabing and building a rapport, and we don't care about anything else, just this. I love to do the same on my show as well. We'll have to get you on as well.
Man, I'm honored, bro. Hey, if you're listening right now, this is Coach JC. You're listening to the Win All Day podcast show. This is my main man, Craig Siegel. And you heard it here today, man. He's releasing his book. We're super excited to help him with that launch. He is a winner. And Craig, we always like to do this, man, at the end. We always like to have the guests say this. We believe there's power in a few things. I am statement and I will statement, right? The I am, whatever you put after I am, right, you bring life to, right? And then the I will. A lot of people hope and wish their whole life. So the whole Win All Day brand was built off of, identity and purpose. And there's a cool story behind it. But we always love to have every guest say your name. I am Craig Siegel. And then I am a winner. I will win and win all day. Can you do that? I am Craig Siegel. I am a winner. I will win and win all day.
I am Craig Siegel. I am a winner and I will win all day, baby.
Let's go. And you got to throw the baby in. We all throw the baby in New York, New Jersey all day, baby. Hey, this is Coach JC, man. Thank you so much for listening. I want to remind you one last time that you are a winner. You were born a winner. And who loves you? We do. Coach JC and Craig want to thank you for joining us today. Go win and win all day. We'll get at you next time. Much love, guys.